Let's see if we can get off the ground like Orville and Wilbur and not crash too soon. See if we can fly this thing for a little while.
We'll try to stay in the air a little longer than they did.
You know, you and I have been friends for 30 years, and we spent a lot of time together over the years. But I don't know if we've ever really sat down and had conversations about things going on in the world. And at this stage of our lives, I think there's probably a lot more depth to both of us than we ever realized, because we were too busy partying back in the day.
Well, we were, yeah. You use the word depth. We were pretty shallow.
I was very shallow, and by choice.
Yeah. We didn't think beyond the next minute, much less anywhere ahead of that. I don't.
And I had some great times, and I look back with a lot of fond memories. What memories I can remember?
Yeah, man, we had a lot of fun. We
did. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and you've been through a lot of changes in your life in the last several years.
Yes, sir.
So, let's talk about music. Let's talk about early stuff. I never really talked to you about what your early influences are and what got you going when you were a kid. The first song that you remember singing in country, I mean, what motivated you? When did you realize that you had that thing?
Well, the first song I remember singing in my memory is Why Me, Lord.
Really?
Yeah, the old Chris Christopherson song. But my parents were, there was a lot of gospel music in the house. And I believe it was Mary John Wilkins who I think wrote that song with Chris. And my parents had her album with her version of it on it. And I just remember hearing it as a kid. And that was the first song that I remember as, I was probably, 6 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
And my mom would record stuff on cassette back then. And so she'd carry the cassette player with her with batteries in it, and she'd record just anything. I mean, she had, had me talking to my uncle's coon dogs, because I'd go lay in the pen with their coon dogs, and she'd have me talking to them. Blue, you the world greatest coon dog. And but then I remember her recording me singing my Why Me, Lord, and I was in the back seat of a blue LTD, Ford LTD that we had, and we was going to church, and I sang. She said, "Tracy, sing Why Me, Lord," and she recorded it, and somewhere I guess that cassette still exists. I don't know, but yeah. So those are like my memories. I mean, we went to church every Wednesday night, Sunday night, anytime it was open, pretty much back then. And,
when did you start really thinking about pursuing it as a career?
Oh, that didn't cross my mind till I was in college, really.
Really?
Yeah.
So you never played? I mean, I'm surely you picked up the guitar.
Yeah, I got a guitar when I was like 15, and started playing a little bit, and then got in college and took the guitar to college, and I guess that's when the light kind of went off. I was living in a dormitory and
all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and and the parties and the this and that, and I started playing and singing, and I really didn't. Up to then, I don't know what I thought. I mean, I guess I thought everybody could do that.
Well, what path were you? What did you major in? What did you want to do?
Be general business.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Had a friend that owned an insurance adjusting business, and he said, you get through college, you can go to work for me and be an insurance adjuster. That's probably what I'd be doing if I hadn't, if people hadn't, it's kind of like that old Baldwin piano commercial where the little boy, nobody paid any attention to him until he started playing piano, and then everybody listened, even the cat. I don't know if you remember that commercial, but it was kind of like that. All of a sudden people are like, "Man, you're pretty good," and I was like, "No, I just do this on messing around."
There was such a well down there, though. You go all the way back to Jones, and of course, there was just so much talent down there in that area. When there
were so many different types of music too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was we're so close to Louisiana that the Cajun influence was huge in Southeast Texas. There was probably as much Cajun music being played in the bars and on the weekends and at the parties and the festivals and things as there was country music and rock music.
At least varieties of it. You had like Joel Saunier came out in the 80s. He probably was one of the biggest Cajun acts of the time.
Yeah. I mean, Joel was huge back then. Even before that, there was. I mean, you think about it. There was, Johnny and Edgar Winter were from Beaumont.
Oh yeah.
So there's your blues rock influence, and then Janis Joplin was from Port Arthur.
Yep.
And you go all the way back to Moon Mulligan, and there was all this. There was a kind of a Western swing influence back then, and then of course George Jones. and being from Vidor and where I was from, and then of course along came Chestnut and me and Clay
so when did you get on stage for the first time with a band?
1987.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'd have been 19.
Did you put a band together? Or did you
No, it was a local country music Opry type show, the Charlie Pruitt Show, and I'd actually done a recording at the mall. They had put in one of those recording studios of Americas at the mall, and I went in there and sang "You're Cheating Hard" and "That's the Way Love Goes." And the lady there worked with the Charlie Pruitt Show, and she's like, "Would you like to audition for the Charlie Pruitt Show?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I've never done anything like that, you know." And they had just a backup band, and I went out there and did "Weary Blues from Waiting," an old Hank Sr. song, and I did "Folsom Prison Blues," and I got a standing ovation. They said, "Can you do another?" I said, "We don't know another." So we just did "Folsom Prison Blues" again. Did it right after we'd already did it. So, but that was the first time I was on stage, and I always joked. I said, I was terrified. They had to drag me on stage, and then they had to drag me off because I loved it so much. Once I got out there,
once you taste that applause,
it was pretty good.
It was pretty amazing. And then, so did somebody find you in Beaumont, or when those wheels started turning and Chestnut hit? I guess '89 was when Chestnut popped. Did you go to Nashville and try to pursue it a little bit? Did somebody just kind of find you?
Well, it was kind of a combination of several things. Of course, Chestnut was playing at Cutter's by then every night, and so I was going out there, and that rascal, he'd say, "You want to come up and do a couple songs on the last set?" And I'd say, "Yeah." And so he'd start his last set, and he'd say, "I'm gonna bring up my little buddy Tracy Byrd," and I'd go up there and I'd do 2 songs, and I'd go, "Well, where's Mark?" And they said, "Oh, he left." I said, "When's he coming back?" He ain't. So
I'd have to with you.
I'd have to do the whole last set. That was his way of getting out of that. But yes, I was going to see Mark and watching him, and man, he was just so good. And then I put my own band together. We started playing out, and then the owner of Cutter's showed up one night over at the place I was playing, which was called Country Fever at the time, I think. It was the old Yvonne's nightclub, which was kind of a legendary place in Beaumont. But they showed up and said, "Well, Mark's, signed his record deal, and his record company wants him to come to Nashville and do a bunch of different things, and he's going to be gone a lot. And would you be willing to, leave your band and come over there and play with his band?" And so I said, "Well, sure, yeah, I think I would." And I did that and played like that. And then when he would come back, we'd just do songs together and swap sets. And then he, finally left for good and headed out. And I put another band together and played there at Cutter's. And that's when I got a couple guys managing me. And we went to Nashville and did a showcase. And ultimately, out of that showcase is where my deal with MCA came.
Yeah, life-changing stuff, man.
Yeah, it
really,
was. I mean, it was fast. It seemed like it happened, really fast. But then when you look back at it, it was really over the course of about 4 years of learning how to do it and
getting comfortable with stage and meeting the right people.
Exactly. But it seemed fast back then.
It sure seems like the industry to me has changed a whole lot. What do you think about contemporary country music?
I don't listen to it. I've listened to it enough to know that I just don't like it. It's just it's not my thing. I mean, there's a few. I mean, there's some stuff that, like Midland, for instance. I mean. Yeah. They make really cool records, and I like those a lot. And there's a few guys out there that occasionally I'll hear. And then there's there's some that's really contemporary. I can't sit here and say I don't like it, because there are occasionally songs that I accidentally hear that I go, wow, that's really good.
I think current radio as a whole is what bothers me. The playlist is very short. I think they're only playing like 17 currents. And everything that they play seems to be skewed to be so pop and so far away from the stuff that I consider to be traditional country music. But I do feel like there's a trend that things are starting to swing back in the other direction.
Well, it always has. And I said it was going to swing back, and I've been saying it for about 15 years now. It's been really slow to swing back, but I really hope that it does. I mean, because that's what I like. I mean, that's what I listen to. And I'm not going to bash, there was a time when I would probably bash anything that wasn't traditional country, but there's no reason to bash it. I mean, those guys, they're doing the same thing that me and you wanted to do when we started out.
They're trying to find their own path, and they're pushing the envelope, and I respect.
And I'm not going to begrudge a guy's success. I mean, they work hard too. It's just not the style. It's there's a part of me that wants to protect country music, and that that style is just not reminiscent of what
But it's okay for us at this stage of our life and our career.
Kind of played into our hands a little bit, to be honest.
And I've noticed here recently, since we've gotten past COVID and everything's opened back up, it's like I've studied this and see if this makes sense to you. Trying to figure out exactly why our attendance and our hard ticket sales have gone up so much, and I know you're feeling it too. And it's not just us; it's pretty much across the board with everybody from the '90s for the most part.
It is,
and I think if you really get down to the essence of what's driving it, I think people going through COVID, it flipped a switch. It woke people up to a lot of things that they had let go of. And I really believe that the music from the 90s provides a comfort factor that current music doesn't. And they want to go back to that time and place when before cell phones, before Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff, when it was just music.
Yeah, I totally agree with
it. And I believe it gives
it's nostalgia that's driving people.
But it's an intense thing right now, and I think we're all feeling it. I mean, the wave is real, and everybody across the board is feeling it.
And one thing I'm noticing too is that there's kids in their 20s, teens and 20s that are at my shows, lots of them
singing the words to the songs that you just recorded.
And so I think they're kids with old soul and old heart and traditional country values, and they can't find what they want in the new stuff, so they're coming to what their parents listened to growing up, and it's been really cool to experience that.
I was so proud. I know that you went out and you did some stuff with Blake.
Yeah,
sure did. That had to be a big shot in the arm.
That was a big fun. Yeah, he called me in fall of 20, I guess it was, and said, "Hey, if this stuff keeps moving along, we're going to do our tour, and you want to come out?" And I said, "Absolutely, I want to come out." And it was some of the best fun that I've had in a long time. I mean, the way he does it, we all play with his band, and then we do this thing at the end of the show, which started out at about 45 minutes, us in the round just with acoustic guitars and a bunch of BS, and by the end of the tour, it was about an hour and 15 minutes long, just from all the talk, and it was just a lot of fun, man. It was easy, and it was successful, and it was fun to be a part of, and
it's good to get back in front of those big crowds.
Yeah, it really was.
It's exciting to be able to feel that energy in the room
that big stage and all the big production, and it was a lot of fun.
I know you kind of backed out of everything for a while, and kind of at this stage. I mean, how much are you working now? You out full time again?
Well, I really didn't want to work, but about I started out not wanting to work, but about 50 shows, and then they kept rolling in, and then it went to 75, and then now we'll do 90. We did 90 last year, and I think we'll do 90 to 100 this year, but that's enough. I mean, I'm at a point in my life where I like having downtime, man.
Yeah, me too.
I'm fishing to get bass fishing again. I love that as a child. I want to be either a country singer or a professional bass fisherman, and so I'm back to fishing a lot and really enjoying that, and just downtime with my kids, and they're still young enough. I say young enough. I mean, the youngest was 19, but they still like to hang out every now and then, and. So work's great. I mean, it's a good balance right now.
That's good.
But I really do enjoy working. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like I've kind of lost a step a little bit. I can't work at the pace that I used to.
Oh, I can't either.
And really don't want to.
No, I don't want to. But
at 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm getting ready to head to bed. I don't like these late shows.
Yeah, I will gladly admit that I've lost a step.
I'm trying to be real cautious. I don't. I want to talk about things going on in the world and kind of get your perspective about what you feel. I don't want to push issues too much. It's such a polarized world out there, and anything you say can sometimes bite you in the rear. But how did you get through COVID? What did you buy into? I mean, how did you feel about all that stuff?
Well, I got it early on, and was as sick as but we never did officially prove it was COVID.
Yeah.
But this was when the testing was, pretty, 50-50 at best, is what. But I had an internist. My doctor got this internist, internal medicine guy that searches for what's wrong with you to do. And I mean, we ran 40 different tests and we did all of this stuff. And I was fatigued for about 23 days. I'm laying in bed. I'm too tired to watch television. And so I knew something was wrong with me, but all the tests kept saying negative.
Yeah.
But I never did get the breathing problems, or I never felt like I was, going to die or anything. I just felt tired.
We all had it twice. My whole family did. The last time.
Yeah, I ended up getting it again and getting the lung.
That's what I did the last time. We all caught it in January of this year. And I'm just now getting over the respiratory part of it. I mean, just struggling getting out on the stage, trying to get through a show, and a third of the way through, just getting completely exhausted.
I never felt that.
I did really struggle to get a deep breath, but I've had breathing issues over the years, but it was really a struggle. I'm glad. Texas and Tennessee and Florida and a lot of us, we really experienced things a lot different than what other parts of the country did. They weren't heavy on the mask mandate where we were. Of course, if you're going into a doctor's office or whatever, but most of the restaurants were still open through most of COVID and everything in Tennessee.
Yeah, Texas too.
We still were able to function. And man, I had friends in New York that in the theater world that they were locked in little tiny apartments, and you know how small those things are.
Oh,
in
yeah.
New York. I mean,
it had to be miserable.
It was miserable. Couples with 2 kids, and only one of you could go out at a time. If you had a couple of dogs, and just to go to the pharmacy or whatever, it was tough on a lot of people.
Yeah, that'd make you crazy right there.
I wonder. I guess the question that I'm trying to get to is, how much of it was real? Do you feel? How much of it was crap?
I believe the virus was real. There's no doubt the virus was real, and there's no doubt that a lot of people died from it.
Our friend Joe Diffie died.
Yes, Joe died. But like in Joe's instance, a lot of these people, they had other health issues, and I think COVID was just bad enough that if you were weak in an area or two, it was coming to get you.
But do you really think we needed to shut the entire country down?
Absolutely not.
Florida's proved that to me.
No, I did not agree with any of that. I
think they made it worse.
Absolutely, they made it worse. Yeah, no doubt.
Because the states that are still basically locked down, they're still struggling with the resurgence of it again.
I was pretty much across the board against any shutting down, and it wasn't because it wasn't a financial deal with me. It wasn't because we're not going to be able to work or whatever. I mean, I don't live paycheck to paycheck, thank goodness. I can weather the storm. It was because of the fear that was being bred.
Absolutely.
Just trying to scare people. And we could go on and on about that, but I believe there was, I truly believe there was medications that were held back from us that would have helped us. Joe Rogan, they threw him under the bus, but I think, I listened to his podcast, and I believe that the guys he had on were telling the truth. I believe.
One of the guys that they drug him through the mud over was actually one of the scientists that developed some of the medications.
Right, exactly.
So how much closer can you get to the source of what you need? The people that are actually doing that.
So I'd never seen anything in my lifetime quite like that. Quite like all the cover-ups and denials and the fudging of numbers and in the deaths and this and that. And it was just like a fear.
It's all left a bad taste in my mouth, and also a huge distrust for the leaders of this country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust anything I hear that comes out of their mouth. It's awfully hard to watch the news anymore. I just believe it's all smoke and mirrors.
I don't trust anything, and I've gotten to the point where I don't even watch or listen to anything anymore.
It's frustrating.
I'm just not going to be fed the bullshit, and I just decided I'm not going to listen to it anymore.
When I turned everything off, and I decided that I was just going to get back into focusing on what I had control of, taking care of my family and getting back into being creative and doing my music and everything, and that's really what I focused my energies on, about really reconnecting with that and rekindling the passion that I had, because we all burn out on it. And I for me, the hardest part was shutting down. I had a hard time slowing down because I've been on that treadmill for years and years. And every month that went by, we're going back to work. No, we're not going back to work. And finally having to resolve to the fact that we weren't going back for a while. That was hard. but I found that it was harder getting back on that treadmill after the fact,
because you got to liking being laid down.
Well, I've never taken.
You've never done it. See,
off.
I had done it. I got off in '09 and stayed off for almost 3 years off the road, and the first year was really hard because you're so conditioned to go. But after that, son, it was nice.
I wonder if that, that's
really
why we're
nice.
having so much of a problem getting people to want to go back to work right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think you
and
very much could say that people have found out they can live a little simpler, and they can have a whole lot more quality time. Instead of being on that rat race like society.
Because once you start, you're going to
do.
fall base like, I'm just going to do 50, and now I'm doing 90 and then 100 again.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
And you just kind of fall back into the routine.
Mm-hmm,
Next thing you know, you're grinding it out again.
Yeah. But I'm grinding it out with a plan.
What's your plan?
I do have a number.
You do have a retirement date
and an age. So I mean, it's a plan, but I don't. With that being said, I don't think I'll ever stop again.
And I want to be excited every time I get on the bus. I don't want to dread it.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
I get real sick of it, and I'm just it's making me just sad to have to do, depressed to have to do. Then I'll stop for a while anyway.
So musically, you cut a new project last year, didn't you?
No, I did a record in 2017, and I did a studio record, and then we did a live at Billy Bob's record. And it's time to do something else, but it's hard to get me motivated these days.
Really?
I don't. I'm telling you, it's. I'll admit it. It's hard to get me moving for a project like that.
Really? I recorded 3 albums last year.
I know
you dropped 3 records last year, but I'm done for a while.
But you're a machine, dude, and you always have been. You can't sit still, man.
I for the first time in my life, so I wrote 9 of the 10 on the first record. The second record I had 5 new, and I wrote all 5 of the new ones, and I was planning on writing all 5 of the new ones on the third one, and my well went dry. I ran out of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of songs that I wrote, I felt were awful.
Yeah.
I just felt like I just ran into a brick wall, and I can't ever remember getting to that place before. And I told everybody, man, I'm going to stop for a while. I'm not writing with anybody. I'm not doing anything for a while, and just kind of let things and assess the world and kind of see what's relevant. Because, I was talking with Terry Clark the other day, and we were talking about, at some point when you get to kind of where we're at, how do you reinvent yourself? What do you do to re-inspire yourself musically to make you excited about wanting to get back in the studio, and not reinvent the wheel, but what would make you excited about getting back in the studio? What would do that?
Well, man, that's a big question. I mean, I just kind of go along, and I get a lot of ideas that I put down on my phone, about stuff. Because that last record in 2017 I wrote everything by myself except 2 on there. And I've discovered I like writing by myself, and I like just letting them, simmer. If they simmer a year, fine. If the ideas, And so I still have ideas, and I'll put them down, and then I just go away from them, and it's getting to that point here lately where I'm kind of ready to sit down and finish something, So I kind of just let that dictate what I do, just am I feeling it? Am I excited? And it's not any single thing that makes it happen. It's just time.
Yeah.
It's just, okay, well, I kind of feel like creating something now. So I think I'll go do that.
It's good to get back.
There's not the pressure of, obviously.
You're not writing for radio.
Yeah,
or nothing.
I ain't going to have a hit. I'm just writing for me. I'm really writing for me, and hopefully the fans like it. And because I'll like it, well,
if you like it, you're going to want to sing it. And I think what I've found out there, and I'm sure you're seeing this too. There's a young audience that doesn't let themselves be strongly influenced by radio. They find their music in their own way. They're going to Spotify. They're going to watch it.
That is the way it is. I mean,
I see people singing the words back to me. Lots of them of songs that have never been played on the radio.
Absolutely, me too. I get requests for so many album cuts, deep album cuts that I don't even, remember playing.
Oh yeah.
and that's pretty cool. And they're good songs. You know, they're songs that back when I cut them, I thought, you know, that should be a single or that, you know, and that's neat. So we've added some of those back, you know, some more obscure stuff back in the set, and but yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm just not that motivated these days. It's hard to get me going. I mean, it really is. It really is. I love playing live. I love that. You don't have to get me motivated for that. I'm ready to go do that. But as far as, you know, I mean, I wasn't a songwriter anyway. It's hard for me. I have to work at it, you know, and it doesn't just fall out of me. I really got to work at it, and I got to let it. That's why I think I never was a very good co-writer. I mean, I did good with Nestor. Me and Nestor clicked, you know, because we had known each other since we were kids. So me and Nestor would write well together. But that's easy to write with him. I mean,
oh, absolutely. I still write with him a lot.
I was just making coffee, really, when you get down to it.
Yeah, he'll massage. But he's a master at massaging things.
Oh yeah. It ain't never finished.
He cleans things up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Weeks later, he'll be coming back, going, you know what I was thinking, you know. But I did good with him and with Tony and.
So what, you know, you said you were fishing a lot again. I don't know how much you're playing golf. What does
I play golf all the time.
What
yeah.
does inspire you? You a reader? Do you read? What intellectual stuff do you follow anybody?
You want to know really what my day's like?
Yeah, I want to know.
My day is, if I'm at home, I'll go play golf. I'll do my work around the house. I have been doing a lot of little furniture building and that kind of stuff, wood shopping a little bit, you know,
cool.
Building my daughter some pieces of furniture and stuff. Because my dad was a fantastic carpenter and had a cabinet shop and all this. And I tried to ignore it, but evidently I picked up a little of it without even meaning to. So I'm decent around the wood shop. So I've been doing a little of that here and there. When my daughter, she'll send me a picture. Can you build this? And I'll go, yeah, I can build it. Okay, will you build it? Yeah, I'll build it. Just give me a little. I don't work on a schedule. I mean, when it's done, it's done. But I mess around with that, but I mean, I'm pretty boring, man. I go fishing. I get home. I eat. I cook. I take care of my dogs.
Sounds like a great life.
And then I lay in bed and I watch fishing videos on YouTube.
Well, okay.
You know, watch the pros, get the tips, you know, see what's new.
What's the biggest bass you ever caught?
9 3/4, but I did catch an 8 just 2 weeks ago.
Really? What'd you catch it on?
On a jig, on a pumpkin green jig with a crawl trailer. Yeah. Norther had blew through. I caught, the day before, I had caught 28 in about an hour, and on red chatterbait. And then Norther blew through the next 2 days. It rained all the next day. I didn't fish. And the next day it was like 33 when I woke up. Went checked those same fish. They weren't there. Eased off out in the mouth of the creek that goes back in this cove. Second cast with that jig, caught that one. So
awesome.
They just moved back out.
You doing much saltwater fishing these days?
I don't, man.
I know you took me out one time. I thought I was going to die.
Well,
got in that center console boat. I think we went 30 miles out.
Yeah, but y'all had some seasick medicine, so y'all was okay.
It's just wham. I'd rather stay on the intercoastal and do some speck
I never
fishing.
did get really get excited about saltwater fishing. It's just not what's in my blood.
I've got a chance to go with some friends that have some nice boats and do some marlin fishing.
Are you saying my boat wasn't nice?
Well, the bigger ones don't bounce you around so much.
Yeah. we went 73 miles offshore in a 22-foot Mako.
It'll beat you to death. Yeah. Yeah, we went out.
You're lucky we're alive.
We went out a couple of years ago with my buddy out of Orange Beach, and we caught 2 yellowfin tuna that were well over 200 pounds apiece.
Oh man! See, I've never done that.
His wife caught the Gulf Coast record blue marlin. It was 852 pounds or something like that.
Wow!
A couple of weeks before that.
Wow!
So they
see, I've done that. I've drug and did that, and it's just, I don't know. It's just not what I like. I really like bass. I mean, I just like the way they act, like the way they think or don't think, and trying to stay on them. And it's just more the challenge than anything else.
I found that as I've gotten older, I like calmer things too. I don't drive as fast as I used to.
Yeah.
I don't eat as fast as I used to.
I got this new boat, and it'll run about 73. And I got it up there one time, and I said, you know what? I don't like going fast anymore. Not because I can't, just because, when you're going fast, you got to drive it.
Oh, yeah, you got to pay attention to everything around you.
So I go about 50 where you don't have to drive it, where I can just kind of ease around,
Well, man, it's been good visiting with you.
You too,
We
bud.
can talk about a whole lot more stuff, but I think we'll save a little for next time.
Save it for next time, and this is cool you're doing this, man.
It's great to see you, bud.
You too, buddy.